There are 4 teams left in the National Football League's playoffs. They call these championship games. They're a big deal, Moan. This is the only sport where they call these championship games.
They are. Well, and that's because you are somewhat winning your division, that side of the conference championship for you, right? So it's kind of fair to say that. And, of course, it's the big one. It's not like a 7-game series. It's not like, a playoff or anything like that, best of 5. No, it's the one to get you to the actual big championship weekend, man. So 3 football games left in the NFL season. What you think about that, though?
What I think is that it sure is an interesting field that's left behind. And I gotta admit to you, Moan, the whole weekend, every single play, all I kept thinking to myself is, could the Steelers make that play or could they not make that play? Did you do that too?
I did do that. Yeah, I did, man. And I'll be completely honest with you. After the game, I had thoughts that we'll share on here. At least I will bring it up in some context. I watched at the quarterback play with most of them. I thought that was relevant as heck. I had a lot of questions. Oh my gosh. This one particular game, right? Wide right again in Buffalo.
Oh. You almost feel sorry for them. You almost feel sorry.
The fan base, the team, like the fan base is what you're speaking of, right?
Almost. It's a rough group. It's a rough group.
And they gotta go the extra mile to do crazy stuff in Buffalo to stay in it, because if you want to talk about a beaten down, and I'll never feel sorry for another fan base. I just need y'all to know that. Ever feel sorry for other fan base. Ever. This is what sports is about. We are supposed to hate the other side. This is the only way in life I think you should be able to hate something, and that's in sports. Is that fair, DK?
It's so fair. You're the one who signed up to come in here. It's as simple as that. You knew exactly what the chances were when you walked in.
You did, DK. And some people can even change fan bases. I've seen that. Lori, you're completely right. The Lions finally got it right, correct? So I know the Lions shouldn't feel sorry for anybody. And Pittsburgh never feels sorry for anybody. But as far as the fan base, what they got to endure when it comes down to what the Bills have had to endure and live through, 4 Super Bowl losses in a row. Franchise quarterback, pit of misery, whatever you want to call it. But this past weekend, 0 sympathy.
Don't be making the barber mad over there.
I got it. You know why? He wants to be mad? Because I'll bring that out. Smiling Bell, DK.
Here we go.
Let's go.
Good Monday afternoon, everybody. This is the Ramon Foster Show, starring the one and only Ramon Foster, 11-year starting guard in the National Football League, all 11 of those for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports here in downtown Pittsburgh. And my goodness, what a weekend it was for football, but especially that game in Buffalo. That just, didn't it, Moan, from the very beginning have the feel like this is one of those there's no way you can miss out on?
Yeah, no, absolutely not, man. A phenomenal weekend, DK, all the way through. Even when Baltimore started to blow out the Texans, it's like I was still engaged. Whenever Detroit, to that same point, started to run away from Tampa at some point, and it still was a close game, but you knew the game was over with, right? Like, there's so many storylines throughout the entire weekend. And one in particular, I'm going to go ahead and jump the gun, DK, just a little bit, man, and say this weekend, I looked at now the Final Four, and honestly, it was only one team that I side-eyed somewhat. Two teams now that I put on the outside, technically, that they're still looking in, was probably, I'm getting there, Texans and Tampa Bay. But everybody else, I looked at their rosters and compared it to the Steelers and said, I don't know if Pittsburgh has the roster yet to compete at this level. And I think there's a lot of great players in Pittsburgh. Well, a lot of good players. Cam, TJ, greats, right? We can already say that stuff. But you looked at it, DK, and at least me from a humble side of it, and said, Pittsburgh got a lot of good, but I don't know if they're that good to go this far as these other teams. Aside from a rookie quarterback in Houston and having Baker Mayfield be your quarterback in Tampa, right? Those are the only two.
Yeah, I think, I was looking at it more from the standpoint of the teams that the Steelers had just faced, because I really wanted to get the feel for the way that the Steelers believed in themselves and felt like they were getting something going over those final 3 regular season games, and really even carrying over into the one playoff game in Buffalo. So I wanted to just look at Baltimore and Buffalo and see how they did and how they looked against another opponent. And, here they were. The Steelers were a touchdown back of Buffalo in the fourth quarter, and the Steelers are missing how many of their defensive guys? I'm really tired of hearing about how Baltimore arrested Roquan Smith against the Steelers. Okay, the Steelers had all kinds of guys either out or should have been out.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And I looked at that, and I know everyone wants to condense it down to just quarterbacks. Okay, and you can do that. And look, it's a matchup of Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen. Okay, there's 30 teams that aren't going to win that argument. Right?
Right, 100%, DK.
Okay.
100%.
But, Mahomes might not win the Super Bowl. Allen definitely won't win the Super Bowl. Allen's definitely not ever won the Super Bowl.
He hasn't. Hadn't even been close, really.
No. And it's there's more to the game. The quarterback is the most important position, and by far, as we saw with Pittsburgh this year. But, man, there's just more to the game.
But that's the other thing, too, when we're speaking about the quarterback. We're looking at the Final Four now be Lamar Jackson, 32nd overall. Patrick Mahomes was 11 or 12, if I'm not mistaken. Lamar Jackson was 32. Remember, Lamar sat in that green room, y'all, and got passed on by everybody. And him with his head in his hands with this, I think his mom, last guy off the board. Now, granted, that was the number 1 pick for them, or he was still a first-round pick for them. But Lamar Jackson, there was 31 other teams that passed up on him. And then you got literally Mr. Irrelevant Brock Purdy being the guy. So when we're talking about the other quarterbacks that was in this race, yes, you had the number one guy and CJ Stroud, of course. But we look at the one guy in particular to me, and that's Josh Allen. That's the Buffalo Bills. That's Philadelphia also, right? And I know they got a second-round quarterback too. But here's the thing, right? And I think Josh Allen did his thing. He did. And who is it right now? Chris G brought it up right now, man. I think it's very relevant. Has thrown for 300 yards per game, along with 20-plus touchdowns and 1 interception against the Chiefs. Here's the thing, though, too, when we're speaking about these teams that have actually made it to this Final Four of the playoffs. The franchise quarterback, and I think this is where the importance of the conversation of the quarterback has to take a narrower lane, DK. And I've said this before, we watched these guys do work. The franchise quarterback is responsible for half the games, maybe plus or minus 1 or 2 games, right? If you're telling me my franchise guy out of 17 games is getting me 8 wins by himself, 9, maybe 10 in a really good year for the quarterback, like Lamar Jackson, right? Probably the league MVP this year. The team is supposed to win the other half of them.
Yeah, that's interesting.
That's defense. There's special teams, which we lacked as far as the punting goes. I know a lot of people brought that up, right? The special teams is supposed to make a play like that. And then, of course, coaching plays a part in it too. But if you look at what Josh Allen did, to me, I feel like he's checking the box on everything he's supposed to. So you look at Buffalo and their shortcomings, right? Buffalo and their shortcomings was, where was Stephon Diggs?
Oh, I know where he was. He was at the other end of a pass that should have had Josh Allen prematurely inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Oh my God!
And we're talking about the kicker the next day. Everything about that play was so beautiful and so pristine, and theoretically to the correct target. Yeah. But Diggs shows up. It's not just that drop, because that thing went right through his hands. It's that this was 3. He had 3 catches in the game.
Yes.
On a day when Allen is making passes like that last touchdown one? Are you kidding me?
Come on, DK. So if I said the quarterback's supposed to win half, right? And then the rest of the team's supposed to hold their on. Okay, the play that could have got them the lead in the game, you had his left tackle, Dejan Dawkins, get hit. And then you had in the end zone, Shakir pop up in that window. That if Josh Allen doesn't get hit, it's Shakir touchdown. Number 10 for the Buffalo. Was that
easy? He was wide open.
So did Josh Allen hold his own, DK?
Yes. He more than held his own. I thought he was extraordinary.
He held his own. The fourth down runs that he had. Remember where he pulled out and went down the left on the tush push?
Beautiful.
Beautiful game from him. So I don't even want to minimize.
72 yards. He had 72 yards rushing at quarterback in a playoff game.
In the playoff games, when you talk about Cooks and you talk about all the other players on that squad, Gabriel Davis, like all in all, DK, his tight ends, I think Dawson Knox got knocked out of the game for a concussion, but you also had the other tight end that was still available too.
Kincaid, yep.
Dalton Kincaid. So when we look at how this game is so fine, DK, and Coach T always says, well, it's a fine line between being a Pro Bowler and being a backup, or it's a fine line from drinking wine and squashing grapes. Like if Dejan Dawkins doesn't get hit, Josh Allen threw that ball in that window to where Shakir could have caught it, but it sailed wide right again.
And even the funny thing is about that block is that he has his guy. What ends up happening, this is where you guys probably don't get harshly enough graded. He has his guy, but he got backed up into his quarterback.
That's pressure that affected the quarterback right there.
Yes. Yeah, went right into him, and that's as Cody says, missed a wide open receiver. No,
he got hit right there, Cody.
He got hit, Cody.
Dejan Dawkins, Cody, gave up and it was the slightest nudge. It was
doesn't matter,
and his arm went far right, and the ball sailed right on Shakir in the end zone. That wasn't on him, Cody. I would suggest, my brethren, you go back and look at that play. He threw it to the open gap right there, DK.
Dan Overfist says the Bills need to dump Diggs. There will be exactly 31 teams waiting when they do.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the funny thing, too, is we get angry with somebody or we get disappointed or something, and we think, you got to get rid of that guy. And then you realize, oh, wait a second. What happens if we do get rid of that guy?
Cody said he must have missed that one. That's fair. Again, and it wasn't just that one, but Chad also brings up the fake punt to DeMar.
To say that we didn't see it coming would be an understatement, but it also, I mean, my goodness. DeMar hasn't been, God bless him, okay, as if God hasn't already blessed him.
Yeah, he's had a good bit.
He hasn't been on the football field all that much.
No.
And you put your entire this is one of those when a gimmick play works, everyone thinks we're a genius. Okay? I happened to catch somehow just ran across the video highlight of Chris Boswell's touchdown pass to Alejandro Villanueva, and there was a number 73 jumping into the end zone. I had never saw that vertical out of you before, Ramon.
That much right there.
And then the camera cuts to Ben Roethlisberger on the sideline, and Ben is smiling and whooping it up and everything. You know what happens if that play doesn't work, right?
Hey, somebody's getting talked bad to, okay?
And somebody's showing Ben on the sideline for a different reason. They're saying, wait, you had this guy?
Yeah.
You had this guy on the sideline here, and you chose to go with your kicker and your tight end? Former tight end?
Yes, man. Very fascinating breakdown over the weekend, though. But I will say there's a lot that has to be done this offseason. I say a lot, but it's really not a ton like other teams like having to rebuild. I don't think Pittsburgh's in a rebuild we started this discussion by saying Pittsburgh roster just isn't there. Whether that be personnel, injuries, or age. Is that okay to say personnel, injury, or age when I say those things? I'm not saying it's not a good roster when I look at what Pittsburgh is this year as compared to what they're competing against. If I ask you guys, with the exception of a few positions, Minkus, TJ, a Cams. Of course, we know the known guys that you love to have. But if I ask you, is Pittsburgh roster better this year than San Fran? You probably say no. Baltimore? No. Who else? Detroit? No, not this year. They got a steadier quarterback than we have. And my fourth team is Kansas City. No. It's okay to say that as a Steelers fan right now, with knowing that, look, we either had injuries in abundance, youth, or just the personnel in certain positions just wasn't together, DK. It's that simple to me this year.
There's a lot to discuss here. There's a lot of Hey Moan coming up here. It's the only segment, I've just been informed here, the only segment that in fact matters. Did you know that, Moan?
And that's Hey Moan, DK. Let's do this thing.
At DK Pittsburgh Sports, we take pride in coverage that connects our city's fans to their favorite teams. Now, that connection's stronger than ever. Introducing our all-new state-of-the-art app. Find expert inside reporting and original podcasts. Check live box scores. Track the latest stats. Chat it up with our community of thousands of fans, all in one place. The new app from DK Pittsburgh Sports. Coverage that connects.
John says the only Buffalo that doesn't disappoint in the end is a basket of buffalo wings. That city, they have two franchises, and their other one hasn't had any more success than the Bills have. The Sabres were in a Stanley Cup final. Thought they had it won. Game in one series against Dallas. Illegal goal. All kinds of controversy, same sort of scenario, people freaking out at the league or their destiny or their fate or whatever it is that they have, and that's tough. But I also saw online, and you can almost always find one of these videos of somebody disrespecting the towel.
Yeah.
In the snow game last week, there's a video of a guy doing some bad things to the towel.
I saw it.
Learn.
When they gonna learn, DK?
Learn.
When they gonna learn, man? I saw a quick comment. Go ahead.
It's not worth it. I'm still stuck on learn. Okay, it's just you don't get anything for it. You know, you just cause yourself pain. The dude from the Jaguars who wiped his rear end with the towel at Acrisure Stadium on his way off the field. What'd you get out of that? Pain.
A loss. Pain.
Yeah.
Losing the AFC South. That's what happened, DK.
Short-term gain, long-term pain.
Yes, man.
James wants to know, hey, Moan, who would you want as the new OC?
Man, it's a few guys that are out there. One comes to mind to me, and y'all might, tilt your head at it a little bit, but that's Thomas Brown. He was this year, he was interim OC for the Panthers. He was also on the Super Bowl championship team with the Rams. Has the ability to call plays, has called plays at the college level and at the NFL level too. What happened in Carolina this year was a full-fledged crap show. Ain't no other way around it.
The top.
Down.
From the top. That's when you're talking about an owner who's dumping a drink on somebody's somebody's fans' heads because he doesn't like what they're saying in their stadium.
Yeah, and that's the one I have in mind simply because I'm doing this coaching search down here in Tennessee. He's the one to come to mind. I don't know if he's going to get a head coaching job this cycle, but as it stands right now, he doesn't have a job in Carolina, to my understanding. So I can see him being a guy that you reach out to that's young, innovative, have respect. I think at Miami during his play calling, I think they averaged about 30 points a game. And I know this is college, but he also operated in the LA Rams offense also. So he has play calling knowledge in the NFL too. Yeah.
Mr.
That's the name to throw out.
Jr. wants to know why. CJ Jr. says, why is Byron Leftwich not being considered? He didn't work at all this past year. That's not a great thing, is it, Moan?
You know what? Also, you do have to get back in the fold.
That's what
the worst coach is a coach not working. And that's why you're seeing a guy like David Shaw, who was a coach at Stanford, make his rounds. Leslie Frazier also made his rounds this cycle with the coaching searches. Probably he needs to get on somebody's roster as far as Leftwich is concerned, whether that be quality control guy, passing coordinator, or something like that, just to build that resume back up. Because here's the other thing behind it. That whole crew in Tampa, it's going to have a little bit of a stench to it. That's because of Bruce Arians was there, and that's also because of Tom Brady was there. Nobody's ever going to want to believe that Byron Leftwich was calling plays in a Super Bowl winning season, or they won't want to give him credit because of Tom Brady and Bruce Arians. Is that fair?
I mean, not going to lie here, Moan. If I've got Brady at quarterback and Bruce on my sideline, I don't want anybody else involved.
Yeah, you see what I'm saying?
Just saying.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, there's a lot of different ways to look at this kind of search. I think a lot of it's going to be people looking at familiar names. That's the way this stuff tends to go.
It is,
especially, and when I say that, I mean familiar to the Steelers. That doesn't sound like what this will be. This sounds like a very different type of search. Nova says, I don't see a good coordinator coming here with Tomlin micromanaging them. Would Tomlin micromanage the offense, Moan?
Have you ever heard of Tomlin micromanaging anybody?
I mean, the defense he just manages.
He has his hands on it, right?
Micromanaging he has his hands all over it.
The plan is set by Coach
You're in
Terrell
there.
Lawson.
You talk, yeah.
Coach LeBeau set the plan. Coach Butt set the plan. Did he have an influence? Yes. You know who else has influence on play calling? Other 32 coaches in the NFL. That's just the way it goes, especially if a guy has a background in it.
But the offense?
No.
Yeah, I mean, when you're a head coach, you're not, first of all, you're not really micromanaging anything. You're just the head coach.
Facilitator.
Okay? You're the last set of ears that these plays go through, and you're the one who can say yes or no to literally every single play. That's the process. That's not micromanaging. And
so here's the thing, too, Nova, is this. In those moments, a coach can highly suggest something the same way that we all were ecstatic whenever Mike Tomlin came in the Seattle game, say, hey, don't live in your fears. Get a rhythm throw and get us this first down, get us out of here. Those are the type of things that the coaches will suggest. Like we've had games where we were struggling or stretches where we were struggling in the run game, even with Munch. Hey, fellas, whatever y'all got to do, figure this thing out. And we put an emphasis on making sure we set the line of scrimmage and ran the ball more. Now, that right there isn't micromanaging. That is a coach with experience telling you, hey, I know you guys can run the bleeping ball. Take care of it and run the bleeping ball. You know, like, so that ain't micromanaging to me. I think you got an opportunity. If you look at the talent that could be on this squad offensively, most OCs, if they're not happy or play callers, would love to have this squad. I'll forever say that.
C-Note says Omar Khan killed his first draft. Is that a fair assessment?
Absolutely had a rock star first draft. I'll say that. I do. So far, really good squad. Yes, and that is not to be denied. Almost every single person contributed, which is rare in today's NFL. They made plays, which is rare in today's NFL. And you got an opportunity to somewhat set some cornerstone pieces for the future with this 2023 draft class. Yes, I think he had a real good job this year.
And the nice thing about that assessment is that arguably we've not even seen close to the best of the guy who was taken first, meaning Broderick Jones has a lot of growing up, maturing, and this was all baby to the bathwater really for him if you think about it. Actually, I just totally mangled that, baby to the bathwater. What did I actually want to say there?
I don't know, DK. I don't know that one.
Baby into the frying pan. No, don't put the baby in the frying pan.
That, DK.
Okay, what is it that I'm looking for here?
Man, I ain't got no clue on that one, DK.
Help me out here.
We got a clue. I'll change the
What are we doing to this poor baby?
I got one that's real good. This guy was from last year, right? Chris Oladokun?
Yeah, Oladokun.
Oladokun. Hey, Ed, don't live in this world. You got to also remember your team cut Chris. Okay, the quarterback, if I'm not mistaken, from last year. Mm-hmm. That's the way the cookie crumbles. There's so many backup players that got rings that NFL greats don't. Dan Marino doesn't have a ring, but a lot of people tell you Trent Dilfer does. Fair?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot. That stuff gets – everybody wants one. It doesn't mean everybody gets one. It doesn't mean all of the greatest players get one. They just don't.
Exactly. That's the way it goes. And real quick, I wanted to interrupt this real quick, and you already put it up there. Y'all hit that like button, subscribe, and send this pod to a friend, okay? Like, we 760 deep right now, and we just now getting to this point. Come on, y'all. Hit that like button while we're here. All right, back to the regular schedule program.
Like that's a challenge. It's like step up your game. This is like one of those before the game huddles where you guys all kind of rally around each other. Somebody takes charge. That's predetermined, right? Who takes charge?
They don't want me taking charge of that one, DK, because it might get a little, it won't be a family show anymore, DK, is what I'm telling you, man. Hit that like button, good people. Y'all do the right thing.
Trucker James comes in with a $10 contribution and says, "Hey, Moan, it seems like every time our season ends, it's because our defense was all banged up. Are we cursed, or is there something we could be doing to ensure our defense is healthy come playoff time?"
Stay on the field longer offensively. You got to remember, that was a storyline earlier this year. The defense saved this team.
Don't say it.
We were 10-7 because mostly of the defense. That's why they get beat to a pulp. You look at the teams that are good right now, their defense stay on the sideline, or they at least share responsibility of making sure that each side is rested. Our defense hasn't been rested for a very long time. That's because of the operation of the offense, whether that be quarterback play calling. You fired your OC, Trucker. It's on you now, DK.
All right, here goes.
Go ahead.
I've been doing some reporting of late about players who are in favor of having Mason Rudolph as their starter.
Look at you.
Next season. Okay. 99.9999999% of the time that I'll report something like that, as Moan can attest, it'll be on the same side of the football. Offensive players don't comment on the defense. Defensive players don't comment on the offense. Am I wrong, Moan?
That's about right, DK, unless we're talking about the team.
The team. And when it comes to the team, a couple of the more vocal veterans about this, about wanting Rudolph to be the quarterback, have been defensive guys. Why? Because of exactly what you just brought up, James. They felt like they were out there for 70, 80 snaps early in the season, and it wore them down. It beat them down. It knocked guys out of the lineup for the entire season. All of your inside linebackers, except for half of Elandon Roberts, were left by the end. All of your safeties were gone until the very end, and by the time they came back, they were so rusty you'd wish that they didn't come back, meaning, of course, Minkah Fitzpatrick and DeMonte Casey. Casey was a suspension, but Minkah was different, and Minkah was out. Minkah was hurt multiple times. They were on the field way too much over a 17-game schedule. That can't happen. The pace at which the Steelers' offense played over those last 4 games, all 4 of them, including Buffalo, was a much healthier pace, underscoring the word healthier. That's all I have on that subject. This is me slinking away now.
But the best defense is the one that's on the sideline, to your same point, though, Trucker.
Every time.
Do a recap of the season. You'll see how much that defense was out there. And there was times where we were growing up, I used to apologize to Cam Newton. DK?
Did you?
Hey, man, I'm sorry. Hey, you guys, y'all saved us. I'm sorry. Like, this is just because that's the team, but also you feel that pressure of holding on to the ball. And when you get 3 and outs, man, it doesn't cause a division between the team. It doesn't divide the team, but it's
an impact. There's a correlation.
Big Brother's watching. Yeah.
And they know, and when they've seen enough, when they've had enough, and they did, they're part of the group that speaks up. Rudy says, "Hey, Moan, do you think Mason Rudolph wants to come back to Pittsburgh?"
You'll get that answer on this podcast real soon. And here's the other thing.
Wait. What did you just say?
Yeah, it's 2 things that's got to happen. 2 quarterbacks will have to be on this pod real soon, and that's Ben and that's Mason.
Okay.
I did get confirmation. Mason's ready right now, okay, just so you guys know, and he will be delivering on that too. But here's the thing. I can't negotiate for Mason is what I'm going to tell you. Mason has to play this down the middle. If Pittsburgh shows interest and if Mason shows interest, you know what that does financially? Cancels other people out. Mason needs one more bidder, okay, for his sake, because, again, he was talking about selling commercial real estate. He can't come on here and say, yes, I'm going to be a Steeler, because then you lowball his price. Now, you know what you're probably thinking, well, he should be thankful for this. No, Mason worked for this to create a market for himself. But here's the other thing, too. You got Baker Mayfield that's in it. You got Kirk that's in it. You got Russell who's in it. You got Mason Rudolph and a plethora of other young quarterbacks around the league searching for jobs. Where Mason falls as far as team need versus his free agency price, who knows? But on here, we will not minimize his market by saying Mason dropped on a Ramon Foster podcast or Ramon Foster show that he only wants to be in Pittsburgh. So there's interest.
Yeah, there's nothing at all for him to gain from doing that. And as further evidence of that, now we're trying to save my baby analogy here. It's not going to happen. It's not there to be rescued. I did ask Mason in Buffalo a few days ago exactly that question. This was his answer. Would you be willing to come back?
I love the Pittsburgh Steelers. They've been my only home for 6 years. We'll see what happens. Like I said, it's not really my decision. It's a law that's out of my control. We'll see what happens.
That's what you're going to get. I mean, he can love you to death, but that's what you're going to get.
Yeah. Now, what he texts me on the side, he trusts me with that. So I can't divulge that no matter what. But fascinating. Speaking of coming back, DK, if you have something, then if you don't have something, I do on this one. You ready for it?
Go ahead.
From being Cohen, that sounds like an official name right there with the long hey moan too. Hey moan. I'm going through puberty or something. But
how was that?
Hear that?
It is in fact Moan Day, everybody.
It is Moan Day.
He has a case of the Moan Days.
But his question is, do you really think we need to draft another tackle? I'm of the opinion that we let Chooks and Dan Moore battle it out for right tackle. Do I really think? I'll say this: you draft until you get it right. Chooks has already been paid. You don't have to pay Dan. My thing is this: you don't have to get rid of either one of them. But how comfortable do you guys feel if Chooks has already been benched and Dan is reluctant to play right tackle? Also, what do you make of it? Do you think the quality is going to be good if Dan's over there, or do you think Chooks learned his lesson that he needs to be back at right tackle? Do I think we need to? I don't know what Omar's mindset is and what Dan Moore is willing to submit himself to. If that's the guy that we think is going to be there, Dan has to really submit himself and commits himself to playing right tackle. If
playing it for good. He's at that age. He's at that age.
Yes, DK. So I don't know what his exit meeting was with Coach Tomlin and the position coach, but if he doesn't commit to it, yes, go find another. Because everybody mostly in this chat was out on Chooks anyway.
Well, so was the head coach, most importantly. And that makes me wonder, too, if any of this ends up becoming related to the salary cap. Can you afford to have an $8 million right tackle on your sideline?
No.
Okay, because if you're talking about, as we all are, all these needs for all these inside linebackers and all these other positions, especially on the defensive side, one thing I really hope we squash from our whole system over this coming off season, Moan, is this idea that the defense is so much higher paid. Should we not be paying the defense as much? The only reason the defense is higher paid is because you're not paying a quarterback. That's it.
Yeah, that's it.
There's nothing else to it. That's not you still have to put the money where it needs to go.
Yeah, you do. Yes, you do. And if guys warrant that type of pay on the offensive side of it, give it to them. They've never had an issue with it. We got to think we have one of the more paid offensive lines in the entire NFL. So they're not ashamed to do it, but you don't have the franchise guy that's holding up 19% of the cap right now.
Yeah, that's it. By the way, we didn't have a chance to put them up, but we had a couple people point out in our lengthy discussion on the Buffalo Bills, be careful who you predict dynasties for, okay? Ooh. Or who you think is going to be around for a long time. Two reasons I say that. One is that the Bills are projected to be $43 million over 49. The cap. 49? Sorry. Yeah. $49 million over the cap in 2024. Now, you can restructure Josh Allen into oblivion, and you're still not getting that, okay? And never mind other issues that they have to tackle now, and notably, what do you do with how do you react to Stephon Diggs' issue and so forth. The other thing is, remember when the Bengals were supposed to run the North for a decade straight?
What place were they in?
Yeah, I know what place they were in. I can't see that far down right now, Moan, but with Joe Burrow and all those receivers and everything else, that stuff, it always evens out. There are rare cases like the Patriots, and then of late, of course, the Chiefs, with now 6 straight AFC championship games. But don't ever think, oh, no, that's it. We'll never get through that team.
But if we're talking about the business, hold up real quick on Mark, too. Mark is more capable of playing the right guard? No, I don't think so. His bodies and technique, I don't think, can fit a right guard. Plus, he's changing position.
Maybe he meant right tackle. Or no, because
he meant right guard. We talked about tackle already.
Yeah, because James Daniels is over there. I don't know what. Oh, because you want to move Daniels to center.
Another thing too that you were just saying about the cap and pushing money and stuff like that, though. Too, Kansas City's in a position where they may lose Chris Jones. Also, you have a cap the way you do with Kansas City. Also, DK, it's easier to keep it together and pay those bills if you go to 6 straight AFC championship games.
Yeah, you can.
It's a lot easier, ain't it?
Yeah, you can do all that.
It's a lot easier to live.
You have a really easy time. You know, not everybody has to take the Rams approach to this, but you have a really easy time mortgaging your future if you're in that mindset, or if you're saying, all right, listen, we have a real chance of getting to the Super Bowl, or like you said, we're getting really close on an annual basis. You have no problem giving up future draft picks and everything else, because you never know when you'll have a chance. You never know. You know, Mr. CJ Jr. says Burrow is getting bangled. Well, Burrow's been hurt, you know, and that, of course, will bring up stuff about how brittle one is.
But that matters, though, DK. I don't want to discount it. The 1 year that he was in, though, they made it to the AFC Championship game. To the Super Bowl. They made it in.
We're going to take a couple more questions today. This one, oh, geez. I actually meant to hit the one above it here. Now everyone's going to think I picked that one on purpose.
That's good, DK. That is not making
Damon Brown says Joey Porter Jr. needs to get in the weight room in the offseason. He had a great rookie season, but he also got tossed around like a loose woman. Jeez, Damon, come on, man. It's 2024 now.
Did you go to Atlanta in the 90s? Because stop, okay?
Wow.
What do we got going on here, Damon?
I can tell you that Joey Porter Jr.'s physique does not lend itself to bulking up. His greatest single strength as an NFL player does not lend itself to bulking up. Worry about his coverage, and I mean that in a good way, not whether or not he can get tossed around or whatever. There's an elite skill that he's got that is really, really valuable to your defense, and it's way more valuable than whether or not somebody will ragdoll him once in a while.
Yeah.
Am I right? Tell me if I'm...
No, you're 100% right. His skill is coverage. His skill is being a blanket. His skill is knowing how to have an eye for the ball, man. So him getting tossed around, here's the thing. When you need him to make a tackle, you want him to make the tackle till everybody else show up. To have Joey Porter Jr. out here like he's Kyle Hamilton, put that pipe dream away. We're talking about 2 totally different body types here and mindsets, okay? Damon is hilarious, okay?
Yeah, he's got something going today. Drew brings us to a conclusion here for the questioning, the Hey Moan segment. He says, DK Moan, thoughts on the Steelers interviewing Zach Robinson from the Rams? He is allegedly close to Mason Rudolph. I would have to do some research on that. This is something that popped up just as we began the show here. But this is, would you see that? Let's put it this way. Here's a thing we can comment on freely here. Could you see the Steelers looking for coordinators that might fit their quarterback or quarterbacks? Do you follow me?
No, here's the thing. They got to go find the guy that fit their skill positions. You can't coach an entire team based off what you think one guy is going to do. You got to fit an offensive scheme into what those players individually do. That's what a guy like Zach Robinson, who's 37 years old, I'm looking him up quickly right now, should be capable of, DK. And that's what I'm asking for of whoever's going to come in. If the line has its deficiencies, can you cover that up? I don't think we saw Matt Canada. I I don't think we saw Matt Canada. Yes, Mr. Shea, y'all are hilarious in here talking about the Freaknik, okay? I don't think we saw Matt Canada at any point in time cover up the offensive line deficiencies. I think we saw a little bit of it from Coach Sullivan and Coach Faulkner, but all in all, those are the things that I'm looking for out of the next guy. Understanding what your talent is and not trying to force a square into a round circle, right? I'm not looking for that guy anymore, man.
Rochelle just showed up. See, she can do that. See, we can say, hey, that's it. Last question for the day. But see, Rochelle is like that person who comes knocking on the store door 5 minutes after close, and you go, hey, no, we're open for you.
It does. Look at these comments from this man. Y'all wrong for talking about the Freaknik. No, Damon said a loose woman, man. Like, what we got going on here, man?
I don't know. I actually don't even know what anybody's discussing here. Like, I don't get it at all.
Have you ever heard of the entertainer rapper Uncle Luke?
No.
You never heard of Uncle Luke?
No.
Oh me, oh my. Okay. That's almost like one of those dog things. Like it's one of those types of things. DK, your computer need to get a mind of its own because yours clearly doesn't work.
Guys, it's always there. I always have to duck for it too. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, man.
Like, I have to duck underneath it.
You know what's crazy?
Oh my God! Have you seen? Speaking of backward ball caps, whatever. Have you seen the meme of Eminem and the three guys showing up in the Total Ghetto-mobile to the NFC Championship?
8 Mile.
Oh God, I can't tell you how hard I laughed at that. I love what the Lions are doing. I love what the city of Detroit is doing, and I really love what Eminem is doing.
Yeah,
with this whole thing, it's just brilliant.
They stayed down till he came up, man. You gotta love this for Detroit. You do, man.
I mean, for Lions fans, I mean, Detroit's had some other sporting successes in recent history, but the Lions are something different, you know. Other than Barry Sanders being good on Thanksgivings, they've never won a damn thing.
They have,
and they usually didn't win those games.
Megatron.
They've had players.
They've had players.
They haven't won. They haven't won anything. Massive difference.
You know what's so fascinating is we're about to be back in a second. I'll say it after this break, DK. My bad. Y'all are something else, man.
Ridiculous.
I
take way too much abuse on this show.
You know what gets them going more than anything? This kid, non-football issues, DK. We bring up something off the side, man. They will just run with it, man. I love that.
No. Chad's taking this too far. Everybody's taking it too far. Mark Cunningham says, I don't even want to know.
It was an era. I didn't live through it. I just heard about it also. Hilarious that got you guys going on a Monday. That's why you come here.
No, Richard's trying to make me cool. That has no chance of happening. Michael Walker correctly points out that the Red Wings brought the city of Detroit a fair amount of glory. It's been a while for the Wings, though. It's been about a decade and a half since they've even been a regular participant in the playoffs. So Detroit is really feeling it. Dan Campbell reminds Mark of Bill Cowher. I could see some of that. I think Campbell's got maybe even more of that over the top. Everything seems like it's the biggest deal in the world to him, you know?
Yeah, I'm listening, but I promise you we got the best explanation ever for what it was, DK.
Let's have it.
Patrick Mason. I'm done with y'all after today, okay? He says, DK.
Oh, no.
Take the Playboy Magic, mix it with Mardi Gras, and put it on the streets of Atlanta.
Okay, then. And I'm going to assume you're referring to the streets of Atlanta where I accidentally booked my hotel for the Steelers-Falcons preseason game a couple of months ago. Those were some streets. Those were some streets. Like even the nails in the wig shops were closed, like permanently closed, like boarded up.
Oh my gosh. Hey, that was a great way to summarize what I heard. It was like, man, goodness gracious. It's like a Steelers Super Bowl parade, too. No, it's not. Heck no. I don't think they could ever bring that back, Rochelle.
Don't start tempting my wife here to start coming up with more things to hang. What is this? I'll show up with beads next Monday.
I know, man. Golly. Oh, that is good right there. That is so good. Man, I appreciate y'all. Again, hit that like button and subscribe. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Also, we were sitting at lowly 20 likes, man. We're over 339 right now, DK. I'll take that.
Okay. I'm going to go throw a baby into either a frying pan or some bath water here, if you don't mind.
No doubt. No doubt, man. Tomorrow we shall reconvene. We'll see what else we can dig up about these offensive coordinators also.
We will. And hey, subscribe to the channel. This is a thing here. We need to get to 30,000 here. We were hoping to do that by the end of January. Yeah, and there's a chance we can do it. We need another 1,000. We can pull that off. If everybody who was watching right now went and did it, we'd be there. We'd be really, really close.
It'd be light work right there too, man.
Yeah. So we'll see everybody tomorrow then, right?
Yeah, we will, man. Good people. Peace out.
Okay, bye-bye.